I'm a private citizen now, sir. I don't know what the rules are on my obtaining potentially classified information, so I will look into it.
Okay. Mr. Clapper, you testified that the intelligence community conducted an exhaustive review of Russian interference, and the analysts involved had complete, unfettered access to all sensitive raw intelligence data. Do you have any reason to believe that any agency withheld any relevant information?
I don't believe so, with one potential caveat, which is that there is the possibility, again, acknowledging this role that the FBI plays in straddling both intelligence and law enforcement, that for whatever reason they may have chosen to withhold investigatory sensitive information from the report. I don't know that to be a fact. I was not apprised of that. I'm just suggesting that as a possibility.
Okay, my time's up, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Feinstein.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Yates, I'm not going to ask you anything that deserves a confidential or secure answer, but after your second in-person meeting with Mr. McGahn, you said there were 4 topics he wanted to discuss. Would you list those 4 topics?
Sure. The first topic in the second meeting was essentially, why does it matter to DOJ if one White House official lies to another? The second topic related to the applicability of criminal statutes and the likelihood that the Department of Justice would pursue a criminal case. The third topic was his concern that their taking action might interfere with an investigation of Mr. Flynn. And the fourth topic was his request to see the underlying evidence.
Were all those topics satisfied with respect to your impression after the second meeting?
Yes, the only thing that was really left open there was the logistics for us to be able to make arrangements for them to look at the underlying evidence.
And you did make those arrangements?
We did make those arrangements, but again, I don't know whether that ever happened, whether they ever looked at that evidence or not.
Fair enough. Apparently, Lieutenant General Flynn remained National Security Advisor for 18 days after you raised the Justice Department's concern. In your view, during those 18 days, did the risk that Flynn had been or could be compromised diminish at all?
You know, I don't know that I'm in a position to really have an answer for that. I know that we were really concerned about the compromise here, and that was the reason why we were encouraging them to act. I don't know what steps they may have taken, if any, during that 18 days to minimize any risk.
Did you discuss this with other DOJ career professionals?
Certainly leading up to our notification on the 26th, it was a topic of a whole lot of discussion in DOJ and with other members of the intel community, and we discussed it at great length. But after the 30th, again, I wasn't at DOJ anymore, so I didn't have any further discussions after that point about what was being done with respect to that.
Did you consult with other career prosecutors?
Oh, absolutely. We had really the experts within the National Security Division. As we were navigating this situation, they were working with the FBI on the investigation, and we were trying to make a determination about how best to make this notification so that we could get the information to the White House that they needed to be able to act.
So was the point that you were trying to make, yes or no will be fine, that General Flynn had seriously compromised the security of the United States and possibly the government by what he had done, whatever that was?
Well, our point is that logic would tell you that you don't want the National Security Advisor to be in a position where the Russians have leverage over him. Now, in terms of what impact that may have had or could have had, I can't speak to that. But we knew that that was not a good situation, which is why we wanted to let the White House know about it.
Yes, good question.
The Guardian has reported that Britain's intelligence service first became aware in late 2015 of suspicious interactions between Trump advisors and Russian intelligence agents. This information was passed on to U.S. intelligence agencies. Over the spring of 2016, multiple European allies passed on additional information to the United States about contacts between the Trump campaign and Russians. Is this accurate?
I can't answer that.
General Clapper, is that accurate?
Yes, it is, and it's also quite sensitive.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
The specifics are quite sensitive.
When did components of the intelligence community open investigations into the interactions between Trump advisors and Russians?
What was the question again, ma'am? I'm sorry.
When did components of the intelligence community open investigations into the interactions between Trump advisors and Russians?
Well, I can, I referred to Director Comey's statement before the House Intelligence Committee on the 20th of March is when he advised that they'd open an investigation in July of 16.
And what was the reaction when you advised that the investigation be opened as early as July 15th?
I'm sorry?
I thought you said that you advised on July.
No, Director Comey did before the House Intelligence Committee announced that the FBI had initiated an investigation in July of 2016.
Well, what did the intelligence agencies do with the findings that I just spoke about that The Guardian wrote about?
Well, I'm not sure about the accuracy of that article. So clearly, actually going back to 2015, there was evidence of Soviet, or Russian, excuse me, Freudian slip, Russian activity, mainly in an information gathering or reconnoitering mode where they were investigating voter registration rolls and the like, and that activity started early. And so we were monitoring this as it progressed, and certainly as it picked up, accelerated in the spring, summer, and fall of 2016.
Okay. So let me go back to you, Ms. Yates. I take it you were very concerned. What was your prime worry during all of this? Now, you were worried that General Flynn would be compromised. What did you think would happen if he were? And how do you believe he would have been compromised?
Well, we had two concerns. Compromise was certainly the number one concern. And, you know, the Russians can use compromised material, information, in a variety of ways, sometimes overtly and sometimes subtly. And again, our concern is that you have a very sensitive position, like the National Security Advisor, and you don't want that person to be in a position where, again, the Russians have leverage over him. But I will also say another motivating factor is that we felt like the Vice President was entitled to know that the information he had been given and that he was relaying to the American public wasn't true.
So what you're saying is that General Flynn lied to the Vice President.
That's certainly how it appeared, yes, because the Vice President went out and made statements about General Flynn's conduct that he said were based on what General Flynn had told him. And we knew that that just flat wasn't true.
Well, as the days went on, what was your view of the situation? Because there were, I guess, 2 weeks before, was it 18 days before Director Flynn was dismissed?
Well, again, I was no longer with DOJ after the 30th, and so I wasn't having interaction or any involvement in this issue after that day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.